I am a very famous billionaire tech queen today. Millions of people use my smart mobile application every second. They think I am a natural lucky genius. But they do not know the dark bloody origin of these smart code lines. They do not know my shiny empire was born on a frozen sidewalk. My name is Clara. Please listen to my incredibly sad and dark secret story. Let me take you back 5 long, painful years. I was 24 years old and very deeply in love. I lived in a very small, cheap apartment with my handsome boyfriend Ryan. He was a very ambitious businessman. We were very poor and struggled to pay our monthly rent. But I had a massive, beautiful dream for our shared future. I was a very talented, passionate software developer. I stayed awake every single night to write complex Python code. I wanted to build a brilliant artificial intelligence program. I believed my new smart software would change the entire world completely. I wanted to make Ryan incredibly proud of me. I typed thousands of bright code lines until my fingers hurt badly. My tired eyes burned from staring at the bright computer screen. But I never complained about the hard, exhausting work. I loved Ryan with my entire whole innocent heart. I trusted him completely and blindly. I shared every single secret detail of my complex project with him. I explained how the smart Python algorithms worked. Ryan listened very carefully and smiled his warm, sweet smile. He said we would be incredibly rich very soon. He kissed my forehead and brought me hot, sweet coffee. He told me to keep working hard for our beautiful future family. I felt incredibly lucky to have such a supportive, kind boyfriend. I finally finished the massive, difficult software project one freezing winter night. I felt a huge, heavy wave of pure joy. I hugged Ryan tightly and cried happy, warm tears. I told him our poor, difficult life was officially over. I showed him the final perfect working program on my old computer. The artificial intelligence responded flawlessly and incredibly fast. Ryan looked at the bright screen with very strange, dark, greedy eyes. He did not look like my sweet, supportive, loving boyfriend anymore. He looked like a very hungry, cruel, wild animal. A massive, dark, terrible betrayal was hiding right behind his fake, happy smile. I was incredibly exhausted and fell asleep on the small sofa immediately. I dreamed about a beautiful, warm, safe wedding. But the cruel, greedy monster stayed wide awake in the dark room. He copied my entire life work onto a small digital drive quietly. He stole my brilliant Python code and my pure, innocent heart. The worst, painful nightmare of my entire life was about to begin very soon. I woke up the next morning feeling incredibly happy and hopeful about our future. Ryan was not inside our small apartment when I opened my eyes. I thought he went to buy us a nice warm breakfast to celebrate my hard work. But he did not return home that morning or the next day. A few long, anxious days passed before he finally opened the wooden door. He wore very expensive new clothes and a shiny gold watch on his wrist. He looked at me with a completely cold and arrogant expression on his face. He proudly announced that he sold my brilliant software to a massive tech company. He registered the entire software copyright exclusively under his own name. He told me the artificial intelligence program belonged completely to him now. I was absolutely shocked and asked him why he did such a terrible, cruel thing to me. I thought we were partners who shared a beautiful dream of a happy family. I cried and told him I was pregnant with our first baby. I desperately hoped the news of his child would soften his greedy, cold heart. I thought he would realize that family is much more important than dirty money. But my joyful news only made his dark eyes look incredibly angry and annoyed. He said a screaming baby would completely ruin his new wealthy lifestyle. He grabbed my old brown suitcase and aggressively threw my cheap clothes inside it. He grabbed my weak arm very hard and pushed me violently toward the front door. The winter wind howling outside the window was freezing and extremely dangerous. He threw me out onto the icy dark street without a single drop of mercy. He tightly locked the heavy wooden door and left me in the freezing cold night. I stood alone on the snowy sidewalk with my completely shattered heart and small suitcase. I rubbed my freezing arms and cried loudly into the cold winter wind. I had absolutely no money and nowhere to go in the massive dark city. The falling white snow quickly covered my cheap thin winter coat. The man I loved deeply just destroyed my life and abandoned our unborn child. My grand beautiful dreams were completely crushed under his expensive shiny leather shoes. I walked aimlessly down the dark empty streets for many long terrifying hours. The cold winter air froze my falling tears against my pale, sad cheeks. I placed my freezing hands over my stomach to protect my innocent unborn baby. I promised my little baby that I would survive this terrible dark nightmare somehow. I needed to find a safe, warm place before the freezing temperature killed us both. I begged for help from people passing by, but they ignored my sad, crying face. The cruel world did not care about a poor pregnant girl on the freezing streets. I finally found a small dark corner in an old dirty train station. I sat on the hard cold floor and prayed for a miracle to save my child. The next morning I used a public phone to call my parents for help. I cried and told them about my terrible situation and my unexpected pregnancy. But my strict father was incredibly angry and completely ashamed of my foolish mistakes. He harshly told me that I was no longer his daughter and hung up the phone. I was completely abandoned by every single person I loved and trusted. I used the last few coins in my pocket to rent a very tiny dirty room. The walls were covered in dark mold and the roof leaked cold, dirty water. It was a terrible place, but it was the only shelter I could afford. I lived in that dark, miserable room for many long, difficult months. My stomach grew bigger while my face became incredibly thin and very pale. I ate cheap stale bread and drank cold tap water to survive every day. I often talked to my unborn baby to forget the massive heavy pain inside my chest. The terrifying moment arrived on a very dark, stormy night with heavy rain. A sudden massive pain shot through my weak, tired body like a sharp knife. I fell onto the hard, cold wooden floor of my dirty, small room. I knew my innocent baby was ready to enter this cruel, dark world tonight. I screamed incredibly loudly in absolute agony, but nobody came to help me. The intense, sharp pain lasted for many long, agonizing hours in the dark room. I bit my own pale lips until they bled to stop myself from passing out. I had to stay conscious to protect the tiny, fragile life fighting inside me. I pushed with all the remaining strength in my weak, tired body. Finally, I heard the most beautiful sound in the entire wide world. A loud, healthy baby cry completely filled the dark, cold, lonely room. I held my beautiful newborn daughter in my shaking, tired, bloody hands. I wrapped her tiny, warm body in my only clean, soft towel. I named my beautiful, sweet angel Chloe and kissed her small, perfect face. Looking into her bright, innocent eyes completely changed my entire sad, broken life. She was a tiny miracle born from the deepest, darkest tragedy of my life. All the massive heavy pain and dark sadness suddenly disappeared from my heart. I knew I had to become a strong, fearless warrior for my sweet daughter. I promised Chloe that I would protect her from the cruel monsters of the world. Her sweet, quiet breathing was the only reason I wanted to stay alive today. I held her against my chest and felt her tiny heart beating perfectly. The terrible leaky roof dripped cold rain onto the floor, but we were safe together. I sang a very soft, sweet lullaby to help her sleep peacefully in my arms. I did not have a warm hospital bed or a loving family around me. I only had my strong, pure, motherly love to keep my beautiful child completely warm. Raising a newborn baby alone in a dirty room was incredibly difficult and exhausting. I desperately needed to earn money to buy warm milk and soft, clean diapers. I could not find any good professional computer programming jobs in my terrible situation. I had to accept a very hard, tiring job as a late-night cleaner. I worked inside a massive, shiny corporate building full of wealthy, successful people. I carried my baby Chloe on my back while I worked every single night. I scrubbed dirty toilets and washed cold, hard floors until my knees bruised badly. The strong, toxic cleaning chemicals burned my hands and created painful red blisters. My beautiful soft hands used to write brilliant, complex computer software code. Now those same hands were rough and covered in painful, ugly scars. But I never complained about the terrible, exhausting work or the heavy physical pain. Every time I looked at Chloe sleeping on my back, I felt incredibly strong. I saved every single tiny coin I earned from cleaning the dirty floors. I bought the best warm milk and soft, colorful clothes for my beautiful daughter. I often skipped my own meals so Chloe could have a full, happy stomach. Sometimes I only ate leftover bread from the corporate office trash cans. The rich, arrogant people in the building often ignored me or looked down on me. They saw a poor, dirty cleaner with a crying baby on her tired back. They did not know I was a brilliant software developer with a genius mind. I swallowed my pride completely to ensure my daughter survived another cold, hard day. During my short breaks, I would sit in the dark, quiet janitor closet. I held Chloe in my tired arms and told her amazing stories about technology. I promised her that we would not live in the dark shadows forever. I promised her a bright, beautiful future full of warm sunshine and happy smiles. My pure, powerful love for Chloe was my only motivation to keep fighting hard. She was the bright, shining sun in my completely dark and miserable life. Seeing her first beautiful smile gave me enough energy to scrub 100 floors. I was a poor, struggling cleaner, but I was the proudest mother on earth. Years of hard, painful work slowly made my body very weak and fragile. But my mind remained incredibly sharp and my strong spirit never surrendered. I knew my brilliant brain was still capable of creating incredible digital miracles. I just needed one small chance to change our terrible, painful destiny completely. I secretly collected discarded computer magazines from the office trash bins to read at night. I wanted to stay connected to the fast-changing world of technology and software. I dreamed of writing beautiful, complex code again while I washed the dirty windows. The fire of my ambition was hidden, but it was definitely not completely dead. Echo became a very famous secret musical legend. Famous pop singers begged for a new Echo song. They paid good bags of clean money. Arthur handled all the complex, difficult business meetings. I just wrote beautiful, sweet, sad melodies very quietly. I quit my hard, dirty, tiring, heavy janitor job. I did not buy a big, expensive, fancy house. I rented a small, warm, clean, comfortable city apartment. I bought a good used brown wooden piano. I played my beautiful piano every single day. I did not sing with my broken, rough voice. I let my fast, thin fingers sing the songs. Arthur visited my small, warm, quiet apartment every week. We drank hot, sweet brown tea and talked happily. He told me many funny, old, bright music stories. He was like a kind, sweet, loving old father. He protected me from the greedy, dirty music world. He kept my secret hidden name very incredibly safe. I loved my wise, kind, sweet old teacher deeply. We planned to release a massive, big new album. We wanted to make pure, totally beautiful instrumental music. My small, comfortable life was incredibly safe and quiet. I had enough clean money for warm, fresh food. I finally felt completely, deeply peaceful and happy. But my happy, safe world broke completely again. I waited for Arthur one bright, warm, sunny morning. He did not come to my small, quiet apartment. I called his old black phone many desperate times. A strange, cold, serious voice answered his old phone. It was a serious local city hospital medical doctor. He gave me incredibly terrible, dark, sad, heavy news. Arthur had a massive, sudden, deadly, bad heart attack. My kind, sweet, wise old teacher died last night. The cold, dark, heavy news crushed my chest totally. I dropped my heavy phone on the wooden floor. I fell down on my weak, shaking, cold knees. I cried massive, hot, wet, painful, very sad tears. I lost my only true, pure, safe best friend. I lost my strong, brave, smart, massive, protective shield. I was completely, entirely alone in the massive world. Arthur took my big secret to his dark grave. Nobody knew I was the brilliant, famous secret Echo. All the rich, famous singers lost contact with Echo. The massive, big music industry thought Echo disappeared completely. I felt incredibly deeply lost and very totally terrified. I did not know any rich, famous music producers. I did not know how to sell my songs. The dark, heavy, scary shadows returned to my life. Zayn was still a massive, rich, famous pop star. I was a silent, broken girl in the dark. My bright, shiny, happy future was completely, totally gone. I had to face the cruel, scary world alone. I wiped my sad, hot, wet tears away slowly. I must find a new, brave, smart, strong way. My dark, painful journey is absolutely not over yet. I sat on the cold hospital floor and cried until my eyes were completely dry. Suddenly, a kind old doctor walked toward me with a gentle, warm smile. He told me a wonderful secret charity organization agreed to pay for the expensive surgery. My sweet, innocent daughter was going to survive this terrible ordeal. I fell to my knees and thanked the kind doctor repeatedly. The complex heart surgery lasted for many terrifying, anxious hours. I waited outside the operating room and prayed with my entire soul. Finally, the doctor came out and told me the medical procedure was a complete, absolute success. Chloe recovered incredibly quickly and her pale cheeks became bright pink again. The generous charity organization also gave me a small amount of extra money for food. I used that precious money to buy a very old, cheap used computer. I was ready to rebuild my broken life from the dark ashes. I brought the old, heavy computer back to our small, dirty room. I placed it on a broken wooden table and turned on the bright screen. I stared at the blank digital page and felt a massive surge of powerful energy. The terrified poor street cleaner was completely gone forever. I was a brilliant software developer and I was finally awake. I started typing complex Python code lines with my rough, scarred hands. My fingers moved incredibly fast across the old plastic keyboard. I poured all my deep pain and powerful motherly love into the new digital project. I wanted to build an artificial intelligence program to help sick children. The software would connect poor, desperate parents with generous doctors instantly. I worked every single night while my sweet Chloe slept safely beside me. I barely ate or slept because the bright fire inside me was burning strongly. Weeks turned into long, difficult months of endless, exhausting coding. I fixed thousands of complex errors and improved the smart algorithms daily. The old computer crashed many times, but I never surrendered to frustration. I was building a massive digital fortress to protect my precious growing daughter. Finally, the brand new application was completely ready to launch. I uploaded the smart software to the global digital network quietly. I did not have any expensive marketing campaigns or rich investors. I only had my brilliant mind and a deep, desperate hope for success. I went in my cleaning job the next dark, cold night. I scrubbed the dirty floors, but my mind was completely focused on the software. When I checked my old phone the next morning, I was absolutely shocked. Thousands of desperate people were already downloading my new helpful application. 5 incredibly fast years passed since that dark, terrifying night in the hospital. My small, helpful application exploded into a massive global technology phenomenon. Millions of people used my smart software every single day. I became a famous, powerful billionaire tech queen in the competitive digital industry. I officially closed my heavy cleaning bucket and threw away my dark uniform. I moved out of that terrible, dirty, leaky room forever. I bought a massive, beautiful, bright mansion in a very safe, quiet neighborhood. My sweet daughter Chloe finally had a warm, comfortable, colorful bedroom. I hired the best private teachers and kind nannies for my precious child. Chloe grew into an incredibly smart, beautiful, and very happy little girl. She did not remember the cold, freezing nights or the empty, hungry days. She only knew a bright, warm world full of pure love. I built a massive, shiny corporate headquarters for my tech company. Thousands of smart, talented people worked for my successful digital empire. I wore elegant, expensive suits and attended important global business meetings. People respected my brilliant mind and my strong, fearless leadership perfectly. I completely hid my dark, painful past from the public eye. The media called me a mysterious, brilliant genius who appeared from nowhere. I donated millions of dollars to the kind charity that saved my daughter. I wanted to help other desperate mothers facing dark, terrible tragedies. Sometimes I looked at my rough, scarred hands during important board meetings. The ugly scars always reminded me of the dirty floors and toxic chemicals. They reminded me of my fierce, difficult battle for survival. I was incredibly proud of every single scar on my skin. My beautiful Chloe loved technology and computers just like her mother. She often visited my massive, bright office after her school classes. The news reporters loved taking pictures of my smart, cute daughter. She was the famous, beloved little princess of the modern technology world. We were incredibly happy and completely safe in our grand, shiny castle. I thought the cruel, greedy monsters from my past were gone forever. I thought Ryan was just a terrible, forgotten nightmare fading away. But massive, bright success always attracts dangerous, dark, hungry wolves. I was completely focused on expanding my successful digital empire globally. I did not pay any attention to the failing companies around me. I did not know that my old enemy was watching my glorious rise. The peaceful, sunny days were about to end very abruptly. Ryan was experiencing a massive heavy crisis in his own company. He used my stolen software code to become rich 5 years ago. But he was not a real smart, talented software developer at all. He did not know how to update or improve the complex digital algorithms. His stolen artificial intelligence program became very old and incredibly slow. His angry, wealthy clients quickly abandoned his failing corporate business. His massive company was losing millions of dollars every single week. Ryan was drowning in heavy, dangerous debt and facing total, absolute bankruptcy. His rich, beautiful wife divorced him when the money started disappearing. He sat alone in his dark, empty, expensive office, feeling completely desperate. He turned on the television to watch the daily financial news. The news anchor was talking about my massive, successful tech company. The bright television screen showed a clear picture of me and Chloe. Ryan stared at the screen with incredibly wide, shocked eyes. He recognized my face immediately despite my expensive, elegant clothes. He looked very closely at my beautiful, smart 5-year-old daughter. Chloe had his exact same dark eyes and facial features. Ryan quickly realized the shocking truth about my secret child. The cruel, greedy monster smiled a very dark, evil, satisfied smile. He finally found a perfect, twisted way to save his failing empire. Ryan hired a very expensive, dirty private investigator to find information. He discovered that I never registered a father on the official birth certificate. He realized he could use his biological connection to destroy me. He wanted to claim custody of Chloe to control my massive wealth. He gathered his team of ruthless, aggressive corporate lawyers immediately. He told them to file a massive, aggressive lawsuit against me. He wanted full legal custody of the child he abandoned to die. He demanded 50% of my successful company as child support. I was sitting in my bright office when I received the legal papers. My heart completely stopped beating for a very long, terrifying second. I read the heavy, dark documents with shaking, cold hands. The absolute worst nightmare of my life was suddenly standing at my door. The man who threw me onto the freezing street wanted my child. The monster who refused to pay for her life-saving surgery wanted my money. A massive, burning hot fire of pure angry hatred exploded inside my chest. I was ready to fight the devil himself to protect my daughter. The massive custody trial began on a very cold, gray, rainy morning. The large courtroom was completely packed with curious journalists and reporters. Everyone wanted to see the famous tech queen fighting for her child. I wore a sharp, powerful dark suit and sat completely still. Ryan walked into the bright courtroom looking incredibly sad and very innocent. He wore a simple, clean suit to look like a normal, humble man. He brought 3 incredibly expensive, aggressive lawyers to fight his dirty battle. He did not even look at me when he sat down. His lead lawyer stood up and started telling a completely fake story. He told the judge that Ryan was a loving, dedicated young father. He claimed that I secretly ran away with his precious unborn child. He said Ryan searched for his beloved daughter for 5 long years. The dirty lawyer painted me as a cruel, greedy, unstable woman. He pulled out thick old documents from my dark, painful past. He showed the judge records of my dirty, cheap rented room. He showed my old employment files as a late-night cleaner. The lawyer argued that my past poverty made me an unfit mother. He said I exposed the innocent child to toxic chemicals and dangerous environments. He claimed Ryan could provide a much safer, stable, loving home. Ryan squeezed out a few fake tears to look incredibly heartbroken. I listened to their disgusting, poisonous lies with absolute total silence. My own expensive lawyers wanted to object to the terrible false claims, but I raised my hand and told them to wait patiently. I wanted the greedy monster to dig his own deep, dark grave completely. The judge looked at me with very serious, strict, questioning eyes. He asked if I had anything to say about these serious, heavy accusations. I stood up slowly and walked toward the center of the large room. I did not look scared or intimidated by their dirty legal tricks. I looked directly into Ryan's fake sad eyes very coldly. I told the judge that the man sitting there was a complete fraud. I said he was a cruel thief who abandoned us to die. I announced that I brought undeniable digital proof to destroy his lies. I pulled a small silver digital drive from my dark suit pocket. The entire loud courtroom suddenly became incredibly quiet and totally silent. Ryan looked at the small silver drive and his fake smile completely vanished. The final epic battle for my sweet daughter was officially starting right now. I handed the silver drive to the court officer who plugged it into the main projector. The giant screen in the courtroom suddenly lit up with hundreds of complex digital files. I pointed to the encrypted timestamp, which clearly showed the exact day and hour I created the artificial intelligence software 5 years ago. The undeniable digital evidence proved that Ryan completely cloned my original work before registering it under his own name. The courtroom erupted into loud gasps and angry whispers as the journalists realized the shocking truth. Ryan stared at the screen with a pale face and his hands began to shake uncontrollably with deep terror. My legal team then played a secret audio recording from that fateful freezing winter night. The entire room heard Ryan loudly shouting cruel insults and admitting that he wanted to steal my software. The strict judge listened to his arrogant voice with a deeply disgusted and angry expression on his face. The judge slammed his heavy wooden gavel down onto the desk and demanded absolute silence. He looked at Ryan with extreme anger and strictly announced that the fraudulent custody lawsuit was completely dismissed. The judge stated that a cruel thief who abandoned his dying child had absolutely no legal right to custody or financial support. Ryan slumped down into his chair as his expensive corporate lawyers quickly packed their bags and left him alone. The waiting journalists immediately rushed out of the room to publish the massive breaking news. Within minutes, the shocking story of his massive tech fraud exploded across the global digital network. The immediate public backlash completely destroyed his failing company before the afternoon ended. His greedy remaining investors pulled out their money and left him with millions of dollars of dangerous debt. The local police officers arrived at his empty office later that day to arrest him for massive copyright fraud. He lost his expensive cars, his luxury mansions, and every single drop of his stolen wealth. He was forced to face a cold, dark prison cell all by himself, with absolutely no one to help him. The greedy monster who tried to steal my daughter finally received the terrible poetic justice he truly deserved. I walked out of the bright courthouse and felt the warm, pleasant sunshine on my face. I held my beautiful 5-year-old daughter, Chloe, tightly in my arms and felt completely at peace. The long, terrifying shadow of my dark, painful past was officially gone from our beautiful lives forever. I looked down at my rough, scarred hands and smiled a very proud, happy smile. I used my massive wealth to open a brand new global technology corporation called Chloe Tech. We created free advanced software programs to help poor, sick children and desperate families all over the world. My beautiful daughter kissed my cheek and told me she loved me with her whole heart. We drove back to our grand, beautiful mansion to start our perfect new life together. I built my shiny empire with my own brilliant mind and pure, powerful motherly love. Our beautiful story was just beginning today.